From Caddy Daddy, they are available in different sizes. This particular one, our crankshaft, had been machined, and it's polished. And it ended up being, we didn't have to grind it anymore. We ended up being at 20 thousandths over the stock diameter. So you can order these directly from Caddy Daddy, 10, 20, 30 thousandths.
Yeah, whatever your machine shop tells you need.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, we've blown out the oil passages. You want to make sure everything is clean. You don't want even a speck of dirt anywhere on this, because they'll put a high spot on your bearing and it'll be a wear point.
We even washed our hands right before doing this. Now we've dropped our crank in there, and this is the test fit of the bearings. The next process we like to do here is to take Plastigauge. And it even calls for that in the Cadillac service manual. And what this does is this is able to test the fit of the bearings. So you're just basically smashing this.
And then you measure the width of it after you've tightened everything down, and depending on the wider it spreads, the less clearance there is, and you read the clearance using the scale on the packaging. And you want to get this fresh. If you've got something that's been in your toolbox for 10 years,
it's
go down, it was
just cheap.
It was under $2, right around $2 for the strip.
And I'll also point out right now, all of the holes for the main bearings, all the threads are nice. They've been chased. They're very clean on there. So when you see that, that's one thing you want to check. It was cleaned when it was machined, but you always double check that on there. So go ahead, let's go ahead and show how the Plastigauge works to test out.
I've cut a few strips of it here, and I put a little bit of oil here to keep it from sliding around on us. So just lay a piece. I like to lay it a little bit off center.
What the oil does, if you put a little dash on there, it kind of acts like a glue. Helps to hold these little guys.
It holds these little things in place.
We're going to take the bearings. We're going to see how much the Plastigauge deforms, so that we can then measure that, and that would be our tolerances. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to start with the rear main cap. And for test fitting purposes, after we do this, we're going to pull it off and do the finish assembly.
Yeah.
But there's no reason, that's why we're not including the rear main seal at this moment.
Yeah. Or any assembly lube.
Or any assembly lube. So we go ahead and do that, and we drop, and we've kept the consistent bolts for the right main caps. And torque specifications on this are
between 90 and 100 pound-feet.
There we go.
There's our click.
There's a click.
There's our click. All that just to take and
then pull it back off.
Pull it back off.
Look how that plastic, the little that before looked like a thread, has deformed flat. Now we can go ahead and grab the actual packaging and we can compare it.
You can see in the lower section here where the Plastigauge left an imprint on the cap, so you can tell exactly where it was making contact. And we can come in here with our, and it looks like we line up at 2 thousandths.
About 2 thousandths.
Which, according to the book, should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
we're good to go.
There.
So now we'll repeat this process all the way down and check each one.
And ideally, this should stay consistent across each one of those.
Yes.
And so that's what we're going to go ahead and check. It's that extra time. This is what this is why
one of the little details to make it right.
Little details.
Yep.
And so what we're going to do, grab this guy, pull it out, and then we're going to put assembly lube and put the bottom together for the final time. Before we can put our crankshaft in, we have to put our rear main seal in. So these are new on there, and if you notice, there's two pieces. And one side is going to be a little fatter than the other, The fatter side goes to the rear of the block.
It goes to the outside.
Outside. So that'll slide in there.
And you want to push these generally by the ends. You don't want to push too hard in the middle and deform it.
Deform anything.
Now, something that's important to do here also is that seal needs to be lubricated. So I'm going to apply some oil onto the sealing area of the crank, because you don't want that seal to run dry when you first start the engine. You'll burn it right up.
Yeah, because it'll give a nice little bit of lubrication right on there, and then that way when the oil is splashing around in there after initial break-in,
then you're fine.
Then you're fine. But it's just that beginning time, because if it goes bad, guess what you get to do? You get to take the crankshaft out again.
You get to take everything out again.
Yeah.
So they tell you to apply a little sealer at this outer edge and a little bit onto the end of the gasket, keeping it away keeping it away from the actual sealing surface. And that's to prevent oil from weeping around the seal and coming out and making a mess at the back of your engine.
Yeah, because these two mating surfaces right here, where the seal comes together, it could have been something where they did have an issue with it, or that's what they discovered. So that's a little Cadillac motor trick. Okay, I got it. Yep.
Oh, just a moment, Bob. Almost forgot something, guys. That is a little lubrication on the thrust surfaces.
So we had it on the flat surfaces of the bearings of both sides, but if you put it back there, the thrust is going to be in the opposite direction of the crank rotation.
So now we can start to set all of our main caps back in place. And get ready.
What number we have there?
It's number one.
So we gotta come up here. And the make sure once again, like we talked about, the casting numbers are directional.